All right, we're going to call today's meeting of the Rules and Open Government Committee to order, so we'll have roll call, please.
Candelas?
Here.
Duan? Here. Foley? Here. Kamei? Here. Cohen?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Welcome to the Rules and Open Government Committee, and I want to remind everyone here in attendance to follow our code and conduct, which is in the agenda. The first item today is to review the council meeting for Tuesday, February 3rd. It has a 9:30 closed session and a 1:30 regular session. Consent starts on page 5 and continues on pages 6 and 7. And section 4, we have an amendment to the gaming control ordinance. Section 5, actions related to the taxiway at the airport. Section 8, we have a few business improvement district items and no land use. So we'll move on to public comment.
Blair?
All right, back to committee. We have Councilmember Candelas.
Thank you, Chair. I see the ad sheet as an attachment with regards to an item to be placed on the consent agenda with it's a receipt of gifts related to SJ 26. So I was just wanted to hear from staff what this item pertains to and why specifically is it being recommended to be placed on the consent agenda.
Councilmember Kevin Fisher from the Assistant City Attorney. This is because of the number of events that are going to be going on over the Super Bowl and various things like tickets. Tickets over $50 would be a prohibited gift under our gift ordinance. And so it's really a blanket authorization, which is allowed under our meeting code for city officials, city employees who attend these events in an official capacity as representatives of the city, to be able to accept all the different things that could come up. We're not talking about tchotchkes or things like that. It's really tickets, anything that would be otherwise considered a gift and could potentially be prohibited. These will be reported as gifts to the city, and then it will be reported to the state under, I believe it's Form 801 or 802.
Okay, and then, I guess, given that, one of the first major events is happening next Sunday, it just caught my attention and jumps out at me. And, I would move approval of the agenda for next Tuesday with the addition of this ad sheet. However, I will ask if this item could be a standalone item outside of the consent calendar to allow for transparency in the community, ultimately an opportunity to weigh in and not, not under the auspice of the consent calendar. And curious from...
We can do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you certainly have the right to make that recommendation for any item on the agenda. So we have a motion and a second. I don't see any other hands for discussion, so let's vote. Motion carries 5-0. So next is the review of the agenda for the week after, February 10th. Recommended cancellation evening session, so 9:30 closed session and 1:30 regular session. We have consent starting on page 7 or 5. Oh, it's only 2 items on page 5. Section 3.3, we have a mid-year budget review, a potential ballot measure increasing the transit occupancy tax. Section 6 is our power content and rates for clean energy. Section 8 is weed abatement commencement report. And there is one item on land use. Oh, actually, I think there were, there's one item. There's an administrative hearing on the appeal on an item on a property on Story Road. And I guess will happen at the end of the agenda since there's no evening session. Public comment, please.
Blair?
Hi, everybody. This is my last week in the Bay Area. I return to San Diego next week. I cleaned my storage space. I got a smaller space. I'm going to be traveling again, and I hope we can be building a good world. So my travel will be safe. I wanted to speak to item 3.3, among other things, I suppose, is the way to say that. Mid-year budget review, 2025-26. I wanted to quickly offer that in the transportation sector, I don't know how much it's affecting here in the Bay Area, but I've noticed in San Diego and a few other places around California, they're having kind of a reckoning in 2027 about their future budget issues. And I don't know if if it's here in the Bay Area as well. I think it's important they review their budget issues, not in terms of cutting services and then raising rates. And I hope that can be applicable to any of these mid-year budget review issues. That I hope we're beginning of a time where, we were talking previously before COVID started of new economic models and designs and planning how we build our budget in communities. And it's time we start to really invest and look into those ideas at what that can be, instead of cutting services and taxing people more and raising rates and inflation. It's a really dumb paradigm that I think we can have much better models of how we use our money in the future that we were just starting to talk about before COVID. I hope we can really start to begin that again. It is of American design, and we should be wanting to work on it, or U.S. design. Good luck how we can work on it in the upcoming budget year. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Okay, back to the committee. Any questions or a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second and no further comments, so let's vote. The motion carries 5-0. So now we're on to our consent calendar. Today we have 6 items on consent. Do we have public comment on consent?
Blair?
Hi, thank you, Blair Beekman. You very nicely put a letter from myself into the public record this week. Thank you. I was talking about Bayuwasi issues. I really have to learn to practice to send a cover letter to City Clerk's office to describe my public letter asks, and thank you, public record asks. Thank you, you did. I'm continuing my kick on how to make the Bayuwasi process more clear to our communities of the Bay Area. That's the federal agency that's in charge of emergency planning and preparedness for Bay Area cities. They're going through pretty serious changes. They were created after the beginnings of 9/11, in the Bay Area specifically, with a very specific purpose to have public oversight and the public meeting process to define their practices, to help define. It was unique, and I felt when we were working to end Urban Shield, I started attending their meetings there more. They worked to end Urban Shield, by the way. In that time period, I realized this is awesome that a federal agency is practicing public oversight. And currently, the current Bayuwasi crew and staff, they want to change that. They want to end it. And they're not fully committed to that, but we're headed in that direction. They keep cutting services away more and more. My letter today is one way to address their future they're trying to build and how we can be building a future that's more accountable and clear and still works with the public. It's so vital that our federal agencies dedicated to national security work with the public. And we've really been losing that here in the Bay Area with NCRIC. NCRIC used to have a public meeting process. They ended it. So our federal agencies are leaving the public process here in the Bay Area concerning national security. I think we should be making a stand to ask
Back to committee.
All right, do we have a motion on the consent calendar?
Move for approval of consent calendar. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's vote. Motion carries 5-0. And so now we're on to our first discussion item. Number 1 is a Children and Youth Service Master Plan and Latino Health Assessment submitted by Councilmember Campos, who I see is ready in the box, so I want to give a brief overview.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to present the recommendations forwarded to the Rules Committee through the joint NSE and CSFC meeting on December 10th, 2025. I also want to thank city staff who helped me prepare the recommendations a couple of months ago. In particularly, I'm grateful to Angel Rios, Jim Shannon, Andrea Flores-Shelton, Olympia Williams, and Jill Bourne for their help and support. You and your staff have been terrific thought partners, and I am thankful to have the opportunity to work with you to advance family-friendly policies benefiting thousands of residents in our community. I also appreciate the strong support from my colleagues on the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee. Thank you for your leadership as we tackle tough issues like affordability and economic mobility through the youth empowerment work that we find in the Children Youth Master Plan. The aim of this memo is to ensure that we are continuing to build that pathway for expanding the Children Youth Master Plan, not only its effectiveness in the pilot sites that have been identified, but in our ultimate goal in ensuring that it reaches every district of the city. And so finally, I want to thank the Rules Committee for your consideration this afternoon. I know you have a tough role balancing workload and many competing priorities. So the workload analysis has been prepared by administration, demonstrating a fair and reasonable approach to this memo, and I thank Angel for explaining the staff recommendations to my team and I support the recommendations that were proposed by staff and the request that Rules Committee accept them. So happy to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember. Let's go to public comment first.
Blair?
Hi, thank you, Blair Beekman. I've been attending Oakland City Council meetings lately. They've been doing some interesting work in Compromise to Leave, their flock program. At their meeting yesterday, they have their committee meetings all day yesterday on Tuesdays, and one of their items was talking about the future of trafficking, and it's a real concern to the area, and they're finding new ways to address it. I don't know how applicable it is to this item, but I know that Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors does great work with trafficking issues, and I know a former council person, Arenas, she's a part of that process, and the work in making sure youth doesn't fall through the cracks. Maybe that's the age level we're talking about here. I hope it can be of help in some way of addressing our trafficking issues. What you can be doing together with Oakland, I hope can be hopeful, helpful, and promising in the upcoming few years. Definitely connect, and it's a tough subject, and I just thought I would mention it this time as options for services to talk about this type of issue. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with Vice Mayor Foley.
Great, thank you. First, I want to thank Councilmember Campos for presenting this memo to us and for keeping youth front and center of decisions that we make. Rules Committee typically sees these proposals before asking for workload analysis, and then we're typically the ones who instruct the workload analysis from staff. So, Lee, I'm wondering if you can explain why this is coming to us this way. What happened?
Sure. And I think I'll start with, I think some advice from the administration was given to Councilmember Campos on this route and trying to advance this conversation. So you're absolutely right. Typically, any type of proposal, the Rules Committee is allowed to weigh in on whether a workload analysis is relevant or not. And so I think the administration missed that step, and that this went to a standing committee and then needed to be referenced to the Rules Committee to really look at that workload. A standing committee actually can't direct staff work. It can certainly request information or request additional items be added to their agendas, but they can't actually direct staff or asked for a workload analysis. The workload analysis is really for the Rules Committee, and then direction of any council appointee is, some of that is delegated by council to the Rules Committee, but for the most exceptions, those is a full council. So we missed that step in that this came in from a different route. So we are working on cleaning that up. Actually, Kevin and I are working together on a rules memorandum or an info memo on the rules resolution that you all passed on what's the scope of a standing committee versus the scope of the Rules Committee versus the scope of a full council. So that'll be ready in the coming weeks so everyone knows that. But in this case, we kind of missed that step and went ahead and did the workload analysis.
Thank you. I think that would be really helpful, having a list of, this is what a committee, standing committee, this is the rules process, et cetera. So I'm concerned about the process, but thank you for sharing that. I will move to approve the workload analysis from staff with the following changes. When the NSE committee workplaces are done for fall 2026, please highlight these additions so the Rules Committee can ensure the committee workload is not too great, because it's our responsibility to look at those work plans and then pass them along, keeping a focus on the council focus areas. I'd also like to direct the city manager and attorney to come back with a verbal update to the Rules Committee on the rules resolution and informational memo, which you've already mentioned, Lee, to the full council, so everyone is following the same process. And with that, I so move.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're moving the main item along with those two additions.
Yes, that's correct.
And the moving in the main item, at this point, since the workload analysis has been done, most of this is things that are referred through the budget process and also future work back with the NSE?
Yeah, so there's a certain amount of workload. Your next item is going to add one of the items from this memorandum onto the workload. Others are for later on in the year, so we can highlight those when those work plans come forward for the Rules Committee, so they can make sure they're properly balanced, especially now that you guys have gone to the every other month. As the council member mentioned, a great deal of some of this work was already underway. Some of it's already been to the Youth Empowerment Alliance and a few others. The real workload that we felt we needed a yellow light was the request for managers' budget addendums, just really embedding that into the budget process. That does require quite a bit of staff analysis and time, and we'd like the full council to make those decisions, so we've yellow lit those, but the rest of it could move forward.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the memo. It says 1B, request that the city manager prepare a manager's budget addendum. So by approving this item today, are we requesting that? But because you're saying that was yellow lighted, so I just want to make sure that we're clear about what this action is asking of administration.
We are saying that 1A, B, and C are yellow lit
Okay.
in the staff analysis. So the request for managers' budget addendums
So
are
the
yellow.
one, so the section 1 is yellow lit.
Yes.
But if we approve the memo today, are we saying go ahead and do those things? Because we're not,
my understanding is that the vice mayor moved the workload analysis is what you typically do.
okay, so you're moving the.
I move the workload analysis.
You're moving acceptance of workload analysis, right, with the green light items going forward and not the
Yes.
yellow light items?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because the workload analysis is just sort of, it isn't necessarily a recommendation, it's just a.
Analyzing.
Yeah,
the work.
analyzing.
Right.
So I want to make sure the recommendation is clear. Okay, so we're recommending moving forward with items 2 and above on this memo, but not item 1 at this time. And then also, is that a correct assessment of the?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, 2 and above in terms of numbers. Yes. All right. I think, okay, Councilmember Tindelis.
I appreciate trying to uncomplicate a complicated analysis, but I guess my question is, so if we are yellow lighting the recommendations in 1A, a request for MBAs on implementation, basically for pilot programs as part of the Children and Youth Services Master Plan. I mean, there's in the administration's scope, it says that should it be directed by the council. So is Councilmember Campos then recommended to insert this as part of the mayor's March budget message as a memorandum, or I'm confused from the recommendation to our colleague on on how to move these recommended items forward, given the rules committee's purview and what we're saying going forward and what we're pausing.
Sure. Yeah. So the council member bringing those up as part of the deliberations for the 26-27 budget process would be the most effective way. The first opportunity to do that would be the hearing of the mayor's March budget message.
Got it. Or the mid-year budget review.
Or priority setting too, right?
It's saying mid-year.
Yeah, so
note that when given the 25-26 mid-year budget will be released January 30th. It would be then accomplished through an MBA should it be directed by the city council. So technically, we can direct through a memorandum through the mid-year because it is a budget item. Given its perspective, there's nothing in that says that we can't direct something for early consideration. So we have that information as a council to be able to better advocate for these items given the budget prospects next year. Am I incorrect?
I would say a general practice, and sorry if the workload analysis is confusing, mid-year is an opportunity for us to reflect on the current year and how revenues are coming in versus expenditure, and an opportunity for the manager to recommend adjustments so that we end the year close to where we need to be to have an ending fund balance for the following year. So it is very much about this year versus, MBAs are addendums to a proposed budget and information request as part of a planning and strategic planning process for the council to engage in for the following year. So, without checking in on the city attorney, I think it'd be much more appropriate for MBA requests to be brought up at that first hearing as part of the March message, or during budget study session
next Thursday.
Request for more information. I will say on priority setting this year, there's no actual action agendized for priority setting. I think, the mayor's memorandum, which we tried to help with this year. Last year we went through priority setting and there was a lot of recommendation and advice given to Jennifer. The administration, we're conferred with as part of the mayor's March budget message, but it very is much the mayor's. The council will have an opportunity through priority setting to tell the mayor what they're interested in, because ultimately Jennifer and the other appointees take their direction around preparing the budget completely based off of what council passes as part of that. So it's basically direction to the mayor to include. So you don't request MBAs through priority setting to the mayor because he doesn't do those, but you can certainly request information or more analysis as part of the proposed budget.
Got it. And
so to him to direct as part of the March message.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And that helps clarify my confusion and the recommendation to if the council member wanted to direct the action from 1A, B, and C as part of the considerations for the March budget message and deliberations with our respective Brown Acts for the budget. That would probably be the better avenue to do so, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Lee.
Yeah, but certainly all of us should be expressing our priorities at the study session next week, which wouldn't be directing an MBA, but would just be saying, here's things we would love to see in the budget.
Correct. I would,
Right.
Yes, everyone should be giving their
Giving
list
our input
of
about
not only priorities, but also, given the situation we're in, the list of areas where we feel more comfortable making disinvestment versus, new investments because of the fiscal situation we're in.
Right, and just to be clear, it's a listen and learn session for the mayor. He and his staff will be taking notes on everything we say, but there's no motions that will be made at that point.
That is correct. There is
at the study session.
There's no action agendized for that meeting whatsoever.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so let's vote on this item. The motion carries 5-0, and that brings us to the updated action plan, work plan for NSE, which includes the update based on the previous items. So just have public comment first.
Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman. And quickly looking over the memo, this item seems a companion to the previous item, and that I thought I read this was scheduled to begin its process by June or so, and this item is here now. Would it be appropriate to ask if, because of upcoming Super Bowl things, is that why this the previous item has made such a quick detour to this committee at this time? Maybe it can be talked about how it can relate to that if true. I mentioned the things in Oakland going on right now. I guess that's about it. Good luck how to be working on this by the fall. It sounds like you should have a full program really going and implemented, if I'm reading the memo correctly. And thanks for your time.
Back to the committee.
All right, do we have a motion on this item?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I don't think there's any further discussion, so let's vote. Motion carries 5-0. And we are on to our last item, which is open forum.
Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman. Last open forum here for a while. I guess to start, the City of Oakland, as I said previous, they have compromised and they have worked to end their flock program in the next 2 years. And in that upcoming 2-year time period, they're supposed to be working on ways to find a procurement of a new vendor, ALPR vendor. It's been an incredible relief that with all that's going on with the Trump administration, both internationally and domestically, the City of Oakland has taken the steps that says that we want to be more in control of our surveillance and our national security state. We want local control. And I think that is so reassuring that they want to be working in those good terms, and we can be thinking in those good terms. We really have a lot of power here at the local level to ask for peace and work towards peace and demand that when Trump's going to be coming in with Venezuela and Iran right now, he's got a new international plan going on. He's going to bring that back here to the local level. I think we're very well attuned and equipped to know how to say no. and you can get some help and advice from the community to really say no to the efforts of war. And that we practice peace here at the local level. And good luck what we're going to have to be preparing for in the next year. And I'm counting on you guys to want to work towards peace and really say no to Trump's idea of dialogue through warfare internationally and domestically. And we can really ask him for dialogue in terms of peace, just as Mayor Mahan did this past fall. He did awesome in that way. If we can really get him there, Trump to that place, we can be talking about our future programs in much more good terms. Good luck how we can do that. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
All right, we are adjourned at 2:29 p.m. Thank you, everyone.